taking Battlefield back to its roots. How many times have we heard this? Yet time and again, they seem to forget where Battlefield's roots lie.
That's it?
But do any of us really know where Battlefield's roots lie? Apart from the YouTube comment section and Reddit, of course. And look, I'm sorry to all the 40-year-olds out there, but this video is not going to be about Battlefield 1942. I'm talking about the roots of modern Battlefield. You know, the one that we all yearn for when we're talking about what we want the next Battlefield to be like. The one that half the people watching this video are probably only just starting school when it came out. Yeah, I'm talking about the Big Daddy. Battlefield 3. Not another Battlefield 3 retrospective, I hear you say, but wait. Look, we all know how good, dare I say perfect, the multiplayer was. So today I'm going to talk about the campaign, because Battlefield 3 was made in a time when tonally the game centered around their campaign. And I believe that this is the perfect Battlefield campaign. Big call, I know. So what makes this campaign so good? Well, for me, it's that most of the time you're just a dude. Like, you're not Secret Agent Ballsack trying to stop the evil Russian super terrorists from finding El Dorado. No, you're just a dude on the ground with his mates, and I think that strikes at the core of what we want as Battlefield fans. We just want to be an unexceptional soldier working with a bunch of equally unexceptional people to complete an objective. That's where I find my immersion in the series, and I don't think I'm alone. Okay, I know I said you're relatively unexceptional in this game. The prologue does start with you fighting across the top of train cars against Iranian terrorists with the wind of the New York subway flying through your hair, but look, it's an outlier, I swear.
This is 1-3.
Now, the first proper mission of the campaign sees you and your squad of US Marines in Iraqi Kurdistan fighting against a faction called the PLR, an Iranian paramilitary group. And you're tasked with finding a recon section who your commander has lost contact with. And this mission just kicks off immediately, making you feel like you're part of something bigger with all these like immersive little touches. Your squad disembarks from the IFV and you walk through the streets surrounded by other units going about their own business. Like these guys are doing that. And that guy is doing that. Whatever that is. Now, your commanding officer sends you off to go look for this recon section. And as you move out of the familiar parts of the city and move into the unfamiliar, your squad start applying their movement and cover drills. And it's just a small detail that adds a disproportionate amount of stakes and suspense every time you leave cover and move further into the city. And remember when DICE was synonymous with incredible sound design? Because this is the period where that reputation came from.
Gun! Sniper! Keep shooting! Stay away from the front door! Friendly's coming in!
And the weapons, oh my god, they handle in such a refreshing way. Like, there's actual recoil. And that means when you pop out of cover, you have to be deliberate. You know, you can't just spray transfer 7 dudes. No, you have to pick your target, fire a burst, get back into cover. On the harder difficulties, it's so intense. But even on the normal difficulties, it just adds, again, a sense of stakes. And I was blown away by the intensity of the firefights in this game. Now, as the mission progresses, I'm reminded that it's not just the loud stuff that's intense. The quiet stuff is arguably scarier. Like, your squad gets to the point where they're pinned down on a rooftop by an enemy sniper in another building. They don't know where he is, so you have to bait him out.
Okay, moving. Going.
Now, you're on this rooftop, you're moving from cover to cover, but then eventually you have to crawl as isolated shots crack over your head, taking out plant pots and parts of the building and stuff, culminating in the spray of suppressing fire and a rocket shot that just feels like such a big payoff after the build-up. It's
Across the street. 3, 2, 1, suppressing!
Now you find the remains of the recon section, and then a climactic battle kicks off with mounted machine guns, helicopters flying overhead, and then it climaxes in a massive earthquake, which knocks Blackburn unconscious. Then he wakes up in a dark, unfamiliar city, alone and weaponless. Now, after being backed by like 20 Marines and helicopters overhead, being alone in the city without a weapon felt surprisingly vulnerable. And now there are a few times in Battlefield 3 where the developers thought that it could be fun to try a bit of stealth, but it's almost like they got to a point whenever they were doing it where they were like, this is going to be so much effort, whatever, and then just gave up, because you crawl around for a bit, maybe get 1 or 2 takedowns, and then things just go loud, inevitably. Eventually, you link back up with your team and your unit joins the invasion of Iran because the PLR have just staged a coup and taken over the government. And this sets up for one of the most insane missions in a Battlefield game, going fishing. In this mission, you jump to the perspective of a weapon systems officer in an F-18 fighter. And I keep coming back to this term, immersion. And with this mission, they went all in. You start in the bowels of an aircraft carrier, being briefed by your pilot as you walk out onto the catwalk and see just the gigantic naval task group you're a part of. Then you climb into the cockpit of the F-18. You get to do all the little checks, like look at the control surfaces, make sure they're all good. Like all these little details that, again, unnecessary, but just add so much to the immersion. Then comes the incredible launch off the carrier. Like this part of the game is DICE unashamedly flexing the Frostbite 2 engine, and all power to them. You eventually start feeling like Miles Teller in Top Gun as you start battling Iranian jets, like and then it turns into like an AC-130 mission from COD as you bomb a airfield. Like it's totally on rails, but there's just frantic moments, cinematic moments. It's just epic. Now the next mission jumps back down to the perspective of Blackburn on the ground with Misfit as they move into Iran and assess the damage done by the strikes of the F-18s. And look for al-Bashir, the leader of the PLR. Now eventually you find your way to a bank where they think al-Bashir might be, fight your way down into the vault, and find a suitcase of nukes. But 2 of them are missing, with clear targets of New York and Paris.
Russian.
Ready.
Portable nukes.
There's only 1 there.
Wait, there's room for 2 more. Where the hell are the other 2?
Now the perspective jumps yet again to a Russian GRU operator named Dima and his team, who are in Paris to stop the PLR from detonating the nukes and blaming Russia, sparking a world war. And these guys are bad ass. Now you fight through the streets of Paris, which are just like aesthetically stunning. I mean, look at this. It's so cinematic. Like you even go to the Paris Stock Exchange. It's epic. But eventually, Dima's mate gets killed. The nuke gets detonated and they failed. Yeah, call that a bad day at the office. Now, all of these missions are actually taking place in the past, with the through line of the story being an interrogation of Blackburn by some CIA spooks. Now, they believe he's implicated in the plot. We don't know why, but these missions are the sequence of events leading up to the current day. There's actually quite a lot of intrigue, and I haven't played it since 2011, so I'd forgotten what happened, and it falls into place in a really satisfying way, which surprised me for a Battlefield game. But, we'll get to that. You then jump perspectives yet again to another little piece of the puzzle, this time an M1 Abrams tank commander called Sergeant Jono, great name, Miller, who is moving into Tehran as part of the wider invasion, but then him and his team are redirected to go help Misfit, who is stuck at that pesky old bank. Now, this mission obviously has even more stunning set pieces, and the tanks are bad ass. Like me and the boys cruising through the desert in a troop of M1 Abrams just appeals to some primal part of my being. And there's this one little part of the mission that I completely forgot about, where you actually have to get out of the tank to support a little squad of sappers. And I was actually so surprised yet again with how vulnerable I felt after cruising around just being this unstoppable beast, and suddenly people can actually shoot me. But it's just a testament to all the little details once again coming together to build that immersion. Now eventually you make it to Misfit, relieve them, allow them to get picked up in a helicopter and whisked away to safety, but unfortunately your tank's been hit by an RPG. Miller's overwhelmed and taken captive.
Roger, working on air support. We're doing everything we can. Over. We need them now, sir! Hang in there, son.
Hello, Mr. Miller, is it?
Next thing you know, you're waking up in this dingy little room surrounded by the game's antagonists, and you're executed live on TV. It's a hard watch, and I feel like I was more connected to this Miller character, who I had played for one mission, than I have been to any of Call of Duty's major characters in the last 10 years. Jumping back to old mate Blackburn, you're moving through the city looking for Al-Bashir, but as you do, you stumble across the room where Miller was executed. And Frostbite 2's lighting engine puts in the hard yards here, making this look like a dingy, sad little room. Just a really tragic place to die. Again, not expecting to get hit in the feels so hard by a Battlefield campaign. Eventually you capture Al-Bashir, but of course, he's been shot. And as his dying act, he confesses to you that Solomon is the puppet master, and plans to detonate the nukes to create a war in the West. You mean the guy in the trademark evil person leather jacket? Come on guys, this should have been obvious. Al-Bashir really decides to lean into being a Stitch, and also dobs in an arms dealer they were working with called Kaffrine. And the next mission sees you and the Marines on their way to his bougie villa in the countryside to capture him. Now shit gets real, as on the way Misfit are ambushed by a unit of Russian paratroopers, who are also on their way to capture Kafarov and avoid war. So what do the two superpowers who are trying to avoid a global conflict do? Kill each other! Because that makes sense. Right? Now once again, the scale of this mission is incredible. I'm sure you all remember this iconic scene of you running down the hill as the sky is filled with Russian paratroopers, and you spend the mission fighting through the valley, supported by friendlies and vehicles, going up against Russians, BTRs, all that sort of jazz. It's just epic. Eventually your mates start having doubts about pushing so far forward and want to just hold off for a bit, but Captain Cole, your commanding officer who was hungry for glory, pushes you onwards.
Sergeant, if you don't like it, you can go join the fucking Air Force.
Unsurprisingly, you get in over your head as a Russian jet starts to strafe you and your team. You shoot it down, but unfortunately, two of your mates are killed. What a dick.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Another perspective shift, and you're back as Dima and his GRU team, who are just up the road at the villa, but they've gotten there before the Marines. Now you fight through the 5-star accommodation and eventually capture Kafarov, beat the shit out of him in a helicopter, and fall through a roof into a pool. Now back to Blackburn, who's just arrived at the villa with Cole. You guys split up to search it for Kafarov. Now as you move through the eerily empty, destroyed villa, you stumble across Dima, who spills the beans about everything that's happening. He asks for your help, but as he's doing so, Cole enters the room, and you're given a split-second decision. Kill Cole, or let him kill Dima, try and claim the glory and potentially spark a war.
Very soon. This cannot happen. We can avert war between our nations. Just two of us. No politicians. No money changing hands. Just two soldiers speaking the truth. Help me. Help me to do this. That's it. I have to leave now. You don't shoot him. Millions will die. Remember, do whatever you have to do to stop Solomon's plan.
I'd have done it anyway. Guy was a dick.
So you admit to shooting your commanding officer under the direction of a Russian agent, is that correct?
Now we're back to the present day. Yay! All the threads have come together in a really satisfying way, and you know why you're captured. The CIA agents bring in your last surviving mate to get him to try and condemn you, but before they can, a train is reported
Lost
missing.
a train.
Do you remember a train?
I like trains.
Now you break out of the building with Montez, punching that dude in the face. He is another dick. Jump onto a train in a crazy Mission Impossible moment and chase Solomon. You end up running through the streets of New York in a car. It's epic, it's crazy, culminating in, of course, Times Square. Solomon kills Montez, but before he can kill you, you get up and start throwing fists at him while all these like bystanders just stand by watching you try and save the world. New Yorkers, am I right? And then we kill Solomon in a really brutal way and save the world. Yay! Well, except for Paris, because Paris has already been nuked, but we saved New York! Yay! So, back to my initial point. Battlefield 3 strikes at the tone that all Battlefield games should strive for, time and time and again. This campaign is the quintessential Battlefield experience. The game revolves around a seismic event, the invasion of Iran, and gives you the perspective of multiple different parts of that. None are really more special than the other, but they all work together and contribute towards the greater good of saving the world. Just not Paris. The game is loaded with little details that immerse you in the experience of being a soldier, a pilot, a tank commander. The characters are humans, not heroes, and most of them pay with their lives. You know, it's simple, but so effective. And with the footage of Battlefield 6 leaking, and it looks like DICE are taking steps back in that direction, so let's just hope they take stock of what they already accomplished and learn from it. If you like this video, please like, please subscribe, leave a comment, tell me how wrong I am, how right I am, or just like that you want to kiss or something. So